So today I thought it'd be fun to share something I am always doing during this time of the year, and that is using scraps of wrapping paper in the background of my art journal. Now I love to use Mod Podge, gel medium, or even just regular Elmer's glue and take some time in these little creative bursts and sessions and put all of those different scraps to use. So I am, as I've mentioned in other videos, one of those people that definitely saves gift wrap. I will use it over the years in my art journaling process, in my collage process, and I'm not necessarily using it for the colors and the pattern. I don't really want to create pages in my art journal or surfaces that look Christmassy or too holiday themed. So what I am often using these different scraps for is creating texture on a page and maybe hanging on to color here and there. And so one of my favorite ways to do this is to obviously rip things up. You could certainly use scissors, but I like getting really expressive and I like ripping up little pieces and patching things together, again using either gel medium, Mod Podge, or Elmer's glue. I like using this process incorporated in between maybe colorful pages or within different layers. I will also use this process as a way to stabilize some of my art journal pages. And what's really fun is that you can not only use that gift wrap, you can also use tissue paper, you can cut apart ribbons and bows and put them to use in those art journal pages. So for me, this process is about building up a really interesting background that I will then work over the top of in the coming weeks and months. I talk about this a lot in all of the different places and spaces that I share inspiration, where I really love using this time of year and my knack for saving things to prep and prepare my art journals with a lot of this upcycled gift wrap. So I will take time, and it's usually like a day or two, and I will just simply add all of this fun recycled stuff to the pages of an art journal and start building up those layers. And I don't necessarily work on these pages right away, but these are journals and spreads and pages that I will work over the top of in the coming months. So I often use this as a great excuse to prep an art journal or a couple of art journals for the entire year, and then I will grab my journal. I will already have a lot of really interesting things on those pages, interesting backgrounds, color, texture, and then I will continue to add to those layers with my drawings, with perhaps collage, photography, writing, really get creative with the backgrounds that I have created on those pages and spreads. Now, something to make note of is often if you are using holiday gift wrap, it's going to be probably in some similar colors, often reds, red and green. That's why I actually really enjoy making my own gift wrap during the holidays if I have the time, because I can pick other colors. But if you're collecting wrapping paper from gifts that you've received or gifts that your kids or grandkids have received, I have found oftentimes there are certain colors that repeat themselves, certain patterns, certain holiday themes that you might not want showing, or you're just not wanting to create holiday colors or holiday themes in an art journal that might get used throughout the year. And so while I start with a basic messy collage and I am using all of those colors and patterns, what I really enjoy doing is covering things up. So you're going to notice as I continue to share examples in this video that I will then go over the top of a lot of these different collaged backgrounds. I will go over the top of them with either paint or more collage. I also really enjoy flipping that wrapping paper over. These days, a lot of wrapping paper has a grid on the back side of it so you can get your cuts straight. And so I actually like using that back side because you've got this really neat grid happening. You've got some plain paper that you can use. Often it's white or brown paper, and then you've got a really, really light grid happening, and then you can make use of that as well. And so while I've got got lots of red different themes happening with my own scraps that I've got in this video, you can really quickly alter that look and feel and tone down the color so it doesn't feel so holiday themed. And again, I like going right over the top of things with colors I would normally use throughout the year, which for me are bright colors. I also use a lot of black in my art journal. And covering up some of that color or pattern is as simple as grabbing a brush, or in this case, a brayer, and just going right over the top of things. You're going to notice in a lot of these examples, I will still hang on to some of the color that I find in my gift wrap, but more than anything, I'm using this gift wrap as a way to create a really unique textural surface, a surface that has lots of layers. This is kind of the core of my style and approach when it comes to art journaling, is I really enjoy going over the top of layers numerous times over weeks and months and even years. So I might build a background filled with colorful wrapping paper, but I will then go back into that background over and over again with drawings and collage and photography, maybe even more paper, as a fun way to continue to add to that surface. And there are a lot of different ways you can tone down the holiday look and feel. You can continue going into things. You can use photography to go over the top. You can use that paint. I often find that ink works really well. Scribbling over the top of things with paint pens or markers is another fun way to alter some of that color and pattern. The sky is the limit when it comes to working with layers in an art journal. In fact, an art journal is really just a place to play and experiment. So a lot of the time when I am working through my own spreads and pages, I am really looking to really push myself to see how many layers I can add, how I can really tone down those colors or play with color, how I can take recycled and upcycled things that might otherwise get thrown away and really put it to use in my art. And it's often through this process that I make some really cool discoveries that I'm able to apply in some of the artwork that I create or the classes that I teach, canvas that might hang on the wall. This is a really fun way to challenge yourself to get creative with trash or recycled goods, even unexpected supplies and materials. Often there's a lot of pressure to go out and buy fancy papers, trendy supplies, and put them to use in your creative process. And I love limiting myself. I also love limiting the supplies I use, or even putting limitations on myself when it comes to how much money I spend, how I'm going to go about my process. And I think it's a really fun challenge to think about how you could use something like recycled or upcycled holiday gift wrap in the backgrounds, in the pages of your sketchbook, your art journal, in the art that you create, and see how far you can take it with altering, painting over things, covering them up, and really making use of all that wonderful texture, that pattern, and that color. And so I'm going to let you all watch me finish up a few more examples, and then as I end this video, I'm going to actually show you how I like to draw over the top of one of these backgrounds. I want to really inspire you all to look at everyday materials as well as things that might otherwise get thrown away or recycled as absolute possibility to use in your own process. Again, an art journal or a sketchbook is a place to experiment and play. There are no rules here. This is your place to really make discoveries. And these are the perfect places to really play around with what it looks and feels like to make use of things that might be thrown out or tossed in the recycling bin. And I want to inspire you during this holiday season to maybe hang on to some of that gift wrap or things that might catch your eye. You don't necessarily have to do what I do, which is keep a lot of it, but grab a few scraps of things that might be fun to play around with in your creative process and see how far you can take them.